What's going on, guys, and welcome back to F1 2021 My Team Career Mode for round 19, the Australian Grand Prix. It is the penultimate round of the season. We start with a department personnel activity going on. We have to do something here in regards to our teammate, and I think we're going to decide to accept this. A little bit down on cash, but it puts, I believe, the racecraft of Christian Lundgaard up a little bit. We've then got our activities, which we're just going to go through here. But yeah, like I was saying, this is the penultimate round of the season. So second to last race, of course, the Drivers' Championship and the Constructors' Championship have already been decided. And to be honest, I don't expect to really see any changes significantly at all in Constructors or Drivers' Championship for the rest of these rounds. But yeah, you'll also see there, didn't put any upgrades on the car because I got a notification, a message last round, kind of before, I think it was just before the Brazilian Grand Prix, saying that there will probably be some regulation changes for next season. They haven't actually been announced as what they are yet, but I'm just going to probably not put any new upgrades on the car for the rest of the season. And then if there is no regulation change, then we'll just kind of pile a bunch of upgrades on the car for the start of next season. If there is, then we'll probably have to adapt to some parts. But yeah, my Q1 lap wasn't great. I actually do struggle quite a lot around Albert Park, this circuit in Australia. This is kind of my second home Grand Prix, I guess, because I mean, I'm born in the UK, so that's what I count as my Grand Prix, but I live in Australia, so this is kind of my second home Grand Prix. We come P15 in Q1, so we do get through. Christian Lundgaard once again P17. He always seems to be right in that kind of P17 spot. Also, interesting on there, Valtteri Bottas out of the session. Also, I swear it said something about a grid penalty for Lundgaard there for some reason, so I don't know what that's about. But yeah, Bottas actually DNF'd out of the qualifying session, which is it's the first time I've seen somebody DNF out of a qualifying session. So that's pretty crazy. Don't know what happened there with him, but he don't suppose he'd be that bothered because he's won the championship anyway. But yeah, like I said, this is a track that I do quite like, Albert Park. I think it's a relatively fun, good flowing circuit, and most of the track I do like. It's coming up to this part here that I'm not very good at. This corner here, I'm better at it than I used to be, but those curbs on the inside, you know, you don't know whether you want to ride them because they're really bumpy or whether you want to go round them or what you want to do. But it's this corner here, which is honestly the most difficult corner on any track in my opinion. It is, I actually get it pretty decent there, but I'm just so much slower than the AI through that corner. The car just, you know, you get the car position slightly wrong and it just spins around either on that first kind of turn or on the second turn through the chicane. It's just such a fast chicane that it's, yeah, I'm really not good at it. The rest of this lap, I'm pretty decent, but it's that one part of the track where you might see me cutting the corners a little bit, just because I can't get any speed otherwise, and even then I'm still way slower than the AI. I mean, you'll see that in the race, but we don't get through to Q3, no surprise there. We qualify P13 though, so it's good qualifying. However, we do have a big penalty thanks to changing upgrades, so we're going to be at the back of the grid for the race.
Welcome to the Australian Grand Prix in Melbourne for what no doubt will be an intense day of racing. So here we are at the Albert Park circuit, 3.3 miles around the lake, with the street track making for a bumpy surface with little undulation. There are 16 corners here, with the best passing opportunities coming at turn 1 and turn 3. And as always, a man with plenty of racing experience joins me in the commentary box. Today it's Anthony Davidson. Tell me, Ant, you're no stranger to surviving the melee of turn 1. So how do you keep out of trouble when there's so much going on around you?
Well, the throttle goes both ways, Crofty. You've got to have the discipline not to try and win the race on the first lap. So always be prepared to lift early and give those around you more space. Trying to be the last of the late breakers with half a dozen cars around you may pay off from time to time, but it's also a great way to lose your front wing.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, with Daniel Ricciardo slotting in alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Norris, Leclerc, Sergio Perez, and Sainz, Vettel, Stroll, Verstappen, and Yuki Tsunoda. Ocon, they've taken a grid penalty. Russell, Fernando Alonso, and Mazepin. Gasly, Latifi, Valtteri Bottas, and Kimi Raikkonen. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Giovinazzi, Lundgaard, they've taken a grid penalty. Mick Schumacher and Shaw. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
Alright, so here we go, we're in P22, right at the back of the grid once again for the Australian Grand Prix. It's 5 red lights and away we go, and it's a pretty good start for us with Schumacher alongside. We get a good start. The cars in front are all over the place. They're really slow. We're making up big positions here. On the inside of Raikkonen, a bunch of other cars. Latifi barges his way through though, and I mean, we're up into P18. We were up into like P16? Possibly 15 at one point there. It was a great start from us, not a great start from the cars in front. We have a little look on Latifi into this next corner, but we can't quite do anything. All the cars are so close to each other here. There's a lot going on ahead, there's a lot going on behind. We are in a pretty good position right now, but we don't want to be stuck behind Latifi for too long. He had a bit of a crazy dive bomb around the outside of us into turn 1 there, so he's a bit out of position here. Much slower car for sure. But yeah, we're going to be wanting to make our way past the Williams. So coming through here, we're just stuck behind him here. This part of the track, not the easiest to overtake him, but it's right here where we can possibly do something. Like I said before though, this is my weakest part of the track, but he's so slow around here. We're around the outside for the most difficult corner on this race, on this game for me probably. But we make the position stick on Latifi. It massively compromises our run out of the corner, but we can just about defend, and considering that Williams isn't massively quick, we can keep the position, and we're up to P17 past Latifi after he massively kind of dive bombed us on the outside into turn 1. We're now behind Valtteri Bottas as Daniel Ricciardo sets the fastest lap, which means he is at the front of the train at the moment. He is in first place. Daniel Ricciardo at his home Grand Prix started second on the grid, so obviously he got the jump on Hamilton at the start. So yeah, hopefully he can have a good race here, because that would be awesome for Ricciardo to have a great home Grand Prix, because as we know in real life, home Grand Prix for him are never that great. You can see up in front there's a lot of squabbling going on between Bottas, Mazepin there. I think that's George Russell and Gasly as well, getting up there because of grid penalties. We are having a little look up the inside of Mazepin there, but we're going to dart to the inside of the next corner. Nice little dive bomb. Gives us plenty of space, thankfully, but he is still there. We're going to try and hang it around the outside, around turn 1, but he is still there on the inside, as you can see, deploying the ERS that we can. DRS is not enabled just yet. It gets de-enabled this lap, but he wouldn't have it there, and we just about managed to stay ahead of Mazepin, and we can go off and try and catch up to Bottas, who of course is a much quicker car, but yeah, he DNF'd out of qualifying for some reason and is starting way down the order. Gasly and Russell up ahead having a big fight. Of course, Russell making it further up the grid because of a lot of grid penalties from other drivers. And yeah, he's slowing down everyone quite a bit. You can see the gap on the minimap to the rest of the field up ahead, as Bottas is a bit out of shape around here, just kind of getting stuck behind these guys. I have a little look on the outside. He almost puts me in the wall, but I can't quite do anything just there. He actually has a little bit of a slide out of that next corner off the curb, but we're not quite close enough. It's a very tight part of the track, so we're just going to have to hang it behind Bottas for now. Eventually Gasly manages to get past Russell, and you can see how big of a gap he's made there, but now it is Bottas on Russell, the two drivers that are fighting for a seat in real life at Mercedes. By the time this video is uploaded, hopefully we've heard what is happening here, but at this current point in time, Bottas has got past. We've also got past Russell. He just got massively out of shape through there with Bottas getting through. We managed to do a fairly scary overtake on the Williams driver as we look at a replay here, looking at it from George Russell. As you can see, he's on the inside, but Bottas is trying to go around the outside. He's then on the inside for the next corner and just kind of pushes Russell wide, which invites us up the inside, and we end up just about past him as we get around that corner. But yeah, it was a fairly scary there, because that corner is generally flat if you get it right, but it is definitely a scary corner going too wide. At the front of the grid, Daniel Ricciardo is still leading the way from Lewis Hamilton behind, and then there's a bit of a gap, just over a second gap, to Lando Norris, the other McLaren, in third place. So at this current point in time, it's looking at a double podium for McLaren, which would be awesome to see, especially Daniel Ricciardo at the front of his home Grand Prix. We carry on here, and it's getting a little bit quieter for us. We've now got a big 2 and a bit second gap back to Russell and Mazepin behind, and we've got a little bit of a gap to Bottas and Gasly in front. Bottas is on the medium tyres, whereas we are all on the soft tyres as we get it a little bit out of shape coming into that corner. Honestly, that happens a lot throughout this race. But yeah, Bottas is on the medium tyre, but I mean, he is a much quicker car. He's in a Mercedes, so he's a lot quicker than us even on the medium, but then still it's difficult for him to get past. Gasly has come into the pits though, so now it's just Bottas ahead of us. A lot of other cars coming into the pits there, so that's going to give us a bunch more positions. As now we go on to lap 10, Daniel Ricciardo's come in for his first pit stop. Looks like he's going on to a pretty aggressive two-stopper here to see if he can clinch the win. And he's now caught up to the back of us, and I'm not really going to fight him here. I'm not even deploying ERS at this point because I actually really want Daniel Ricciardo to bring this home for Australia. I think that would just be so awesome for him to win the first Australian Grand Prix in this career mode of ours. So we let him past relatively easily. Same goes for Hamilton. I'll be honest, I was a little bit more defensive on Hamilton because I just kind of wanted Ricciardo to get that big lead. But as you can see, Hamilton's actually on a set of, I believe, hards. So it looks like Hamilton's going for a one-stop, Ricciardo's going for a two-stop. So if, you know, he's really going to have to push hard if he wants to make this work. So we're on into the pits on lap 13, brand new set of tyres. We're onto a set of mediums because we're going soft to mediums. Our tyre wear is looking pretty good for this race, as it usually is. Tyre wear never really seems to be an issue for me in this game. I don't know if you guys always have that issue as well. Oh, well, not issue, but always have that too. You know, the game's like, oh yeah, you do a soft to hard one stop, but in the end, most of the time, you can do a soft to medium one stop perfectly fine. But anyway, we're now having a look on the back of Giovinazzi. We lost out to him because of that pit stop. I don't think he's come in yet though. He would have started on a set of hard tyres, I believe. That's what he's on right now. So we really want to make our way past him. We're on fresher tyres, we're on quicker tyres, and we've got about the same speed as the Alfa Romeo. They are slightly ahead of us on R&D, but we're actually going to do the same move that we did on Nicholas Latifi on lap 1 or 2 or whenever it was. Go around the outside, a little bit more hardly fought from Giovinazzi than it was from Latifi there, but we do just about get the position, and yeah, we'll see a replay of it here, I believe. Really fun going around the outside of that corner. I mean, it is a terrifying corner. I can't get it very well when I'm just driving normally, so doing it side by side with another car is quite terrifying, I'm not gonna lie, but it is a hell of a lot of fun when you do pull it off. We keep within the confines of the track, get the position. We have to be fairly defensive on the way out though, because we do compromise our run quite a lot from, you know, doing the corner like that. But we have got the position on Giovinazzi, and Gasly has also managed to get past him to behind. So now we're back here with Bottas. Actually, no, it's not Bottas, it's Alonso and Tsunoda up ahead. We've got Gasly behind us, a little bit of a gap to him at the moment, but Alonso he's kind of getting slowed down a bit by Tsunoda up ahead. These guys both on hard tyres, going to the end on the hard tyres. We're going to the end on the medium tyres, so we really want to make an overtake work now if we can, because I think at this current point in time, our mediums are the quicker tyre. Towards the end of the race though, it is possible that those hards will be the better tyre, because, you know, our mediums will be wearing out. The hards really kind of bed in later on, so we want to try and make overtakes work here if we can, as we go over the grass a little bit there, just trying to push so hard to keep with Alonso. You can see now as well, Tsunoda I think really is slowing us down, because Gasly, also on the hard tyres, is now right behind us, and it's becoming a four-way battle for what I believe is P12. Yeah, we're in P14, so Tsunoda's in P12. So it's now a four-way battle between myself, Tsunoda, Alonso, and Gasly behind. A big gap then back to Giovinazzi behind him. But yeah, we're just going to keep going here, but it's getting pretty difficult because we're in a bit of a DRS train. It's also not the easiest track to overtake on, Albert Park, I'm going to be honest, and like I said, it's not my best track in the world on pace, so it's quite difficult. We seem to always get such a good run out of this corner here, but then, I mean, you'll see here, I just lose so much time going through here. This time, I get on the curb way too much, get the car a little bit sideways. That means that Gasly is now sniffing around behind me. He has a little bit of a look, but we park it right on the apex, right on the racing line, and he can't quite do anything. Further up the road in 4th place, Lando Norris ahead of this big train on the track, but he must have an issue or something here, because Charles Leclerc is managed to get around the outside of him there relatively easy. Fairly easy overtake from there, and then he's got Carlos Sainz in the other Ferrari behind him, also very much looking to get past. Of course, Norris was up in 3rd place. He's been overtaken by Vettel, and he just really seems to be struggling now. I haven't had a message on the radio or anything to say that he's, you know, down on power, he's having mechanical issues, but it just doesn't seem like Norris is, I don't know, he's just dropping down the order here when I really don't feel like he should be, as Carlos Sainz is now side by side with him. It looks like he's just about got the position. As we go through this corner side by side, Sainz is there, and I think he's just about done it. Yep, there we go. Carlos Sainz past Lando Norris. He's now down to 6th place, and we come around here. He's now got Lance Stroll behind him, and look, this is a place that you really don't usually go for an overtake, but Norris must just be having big issues. Lance Stroll goes round the outside of that corner, which is just a crazy move to do. You almost don't even think about doing that move. So yeah, Lando Norris down to 7th in what, half a lap? In half a lap, he's dropped like 3 positions from 4th to 7th, and now Daniel Ricciardo, his teammate, granted he is on a 2-stop, so he should have the quicker pace here anyway, he's on the better strategy, but he's absolutely waltzed past his teammate here as well, and now Max Verstappen's going to have a look at Lando Norris too, but yeah, poor Norris, he's really going down the order a bit here. As we look up ahead of us, Alonso still trying to find his way past Tsunoda, but Tsunoda's just putting his car in the right places and defending from the Spaniard. There's just not a whole lot that can be done here. I mean, the straights aren't massive, the DRS zones aren't massive, and it's not that easy to overtake around a lot of these tighter, twistier corners. So Alonso just can't quite do anything. He's got the pace to be way up there within the points, but at the moment just can't quite do anything, because of the Japanese driver up ahead, just defending well. As you can see here, Alonso gains massive speed down the straight here thanks to DRS and slipstream, but he just he's not quite close enough. I suppose the dirty air through the corners just means that he can't really stay there with him. And on this lap, I'm just kind of stuck here as well, as Alonso in the Alpine gets all out of shape through there. We give him a bit of a nudge, almost give him a nudge through the next corner as well. I'm now having to be careful from Gasly behind as well. It's a big 4-way battle going on here. A lot of fun, I will say, as we get it very, very wrong out of that corner. Once again, up on the curb. We're having to defend hard from Gasly again. This time he actually has a bit of a dive up the inside, but we're just going to hang it out wide, stay on the track. But we managed to keep the position from Gasly at the moment, but really awkward position here because I'm trying to attack Alonso up front, but Gasly is really pressuring us from behind. As you can see there, Charles Leclerc is out of the session, and just up the road, you'll see him on the right there. The Ferrari is out of the session, unfortunately, with a mechanical failure. Bad luck for Sainz there. He was doing relatively well, as far as I know. So it's unfortunate for him to DNF out of the session. But as you can see up ahead, Alonso is going for the overtake on Tsunoda. They're side by side around this corner now. This is the best chance he's had the whole time. However, he gets pushed wide like George Russell did, and we're going to do the same thing we did to Russell previously, hang it round the outside. This time though, Alonso is fighting through this corner. This is a terrifying place to go side by side, but we just about managed to hang on. I make sure to brake as late as I possibly can, and we get the move done on Fernando Alonso when he tries to get the move done on Yuki Tsunoda. Looking at the replay here, as you can see, he gets up the inside for this corner, and then he's around the outside for the next corner, but just slightly goes a bit too wide, gets caught up on that curb, and then we are just there to pick up the pieces to hang it around there, but we're on the grass a little bit coming through that corner, which slows us down a bit. So he keeps it up the inside, but then we just brake as late as we can and hang it around the outside to keep the position, or to take the position really, from Fernando Alonso. So we are up into what is now P12 because of Leclerc's DNF. And now Fernando Alonso, he's still looking at us, a big wiggle through there, and he's having a little look at the outside going through the next corner, but he can't quite do it. As you can see, I'm really feeling the pressure now, going slightly onto the grass through a lot of these corners. It's pretty chaotic stuff at the moment. But we're up into P12, looking to potentially get P11 off Yuki Tsunoda, as now he doesn't have any DRS. We do. We are not quite close enough on this lap, but it's okay. We've got a couple more laps to try and make the overtake on Tsunoda. We are quite a bit quicker. I mean, the AlphaTauri is supposedly a slightly slower car. Like I said though, AlphaTauri, Alfa Romeo and ours were pretty much on top of each other with R&D, but it's pretty close here for sure. As we're now going to the inside, we're a lot closer this time. We're going to brake late into turn 1. Tsunoda has also broken late into that corner though, and we are side by side through the first 2 corners. It is very, very close here, as you can see with the arrows there. Fernando Alonso is also almost getting alongside as we just kind of hug the middle of the track. We stay right in the middle and just keep the racing line. We managed to get the position on Tsunoda. I believe Tsunoda and Alonso then had a little bit of a battle behind. But let's look at the replay of that, because that was a fun little move there. We were just about close enough to dive up the inside into turn 1 and 2, but it meant we were side by side through this whole section, and that really slowed us down for Alonso, who, as you can see, he actually tries to get in between us, but we just about slammed the door on him. And I get the position on Tsunoda. That means though that Alonso is now attacking Tsunoda as well, but Tsunoda just about manages to hang on, and Alonso is going to have to hang back and possibly is not going to have enough time to do anything here, as on the second to last lap of the race, Christian Lundgaard, our teammate, has his first mechanical DNF of the season. So yeah, he hasn't had a mechanical DNF all season. This would be his first on the second to last lap of the Australian Grand Prix. But on the final lap, Max Verstappen trying to make his way through the order, getting another position on this final lap. He goes for a bit of a dive on Lance Stroll in the Aston Martin and just about manages to brave it out and get the position. Max is up to P6, probably not as high as he would have liked. I believe he started in P10 for whatever reason though, whether it was a grid spot penalty or whatever. So he's up into P6, so better than where he started, but yeah, he probably was expecting more. Lewis Hamilton wins the Australian Grand Prix. He manages to get it from Daniel Ricciardo. His 2-stop didn't work. I think he actually ended up in like P5 for the Australian, so that is a bit disappointing for him. Still some decent points though, nonetheless. We couldn't quite catch Lando Norris. He did definitely have an issue because he was in 10th and we were catching him, but ultimately it's driver of the day and it's P11 for us.
That's a spectacular victory then, and with it the championship is secure. It's been a magnificent season and they thoroughly deserve the cheers of the crowd here today. Anthony, tell me, what was it that helped them achieve this success?
I think a large part of the result comes down to temperament. They were able to keep their heads when everyone around them was losing theirs, and that's allowed them to get the best out of the car, to maximise the strategy and to stay out of trouble.
After an excellent performance at the Grand Prix, I'm sure there'll be plenty of celebrations tonight amongst the Mercedes team, and they certainly deserve it.
Alright, so Lewis Hamilton wins the Australian Grand Prix. Sergio Perez, he's back on form after a couple of fairly tragic races. He comes in second place for Red Bull, and Sebastian Vettel back up there, third place again for the Aston Martin team. He's having a great end to his season, that's for sure. So awesome stuff to see from him. We end up just outside the points in P11. Norris definitely had an issue there, to be all the way down in 10th, and we were catching him. I think it was the second to last lap. He did start to pull away, so obviously his issue resolved itself. But yeah, we were definitely catching him through most of that race. And then only change in the Drivers' Championship is Carlos Sainz moves up to 10th place. He's now in the top 10 of the championship with 1 round to go, displacing Pierre Gasly down to 11th. But there's no other changes there. And then as for the Constructors' Championship, once again, nothing's changing here. I don't really expect anything to change for the final round either, so I think this is pretty much where it's going to stay. I think we've just about got P8 locked in the bag. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.